like to address some very pros of the bike path. And of course, John has been riding, and so is his wife, on some bike paths. And I told him that would be a really good thing for people to hear some of the positive parts of the trail. I'd like to have someone that would, within reason, give me some reasons that make sense why not to have it. It is something different for Brooklet. We've never seen this before. I want to make sure that people understand our job is to serve the town, not make y'all's decisions. So I leave that up to the city to do so. I think that's the only right way to do it. If not, I'm sorry if I'm not going to give you an answer, 2 or 4. I think that should be me be on the neutral ground as well as the council, so that way we can make a rash decision off of what we hear from the people. We the people tell us what to do. Okay, so I just want to get that out in the open, very, very front and center, if you will. We're going to start with an invocation, and then we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and start into our meeting. If you will, bow your heads, please. Heavenly Father, first we want to thank you for the beautiful day that you've given us, Lord, and we thank you for a beautiful country that we're free to be able to make decisions for ourselves, my Father, and be able to see the glory of what you've given us through your Son, Jesus Christ. We're free because we have free in the hope of you, my Father. And all the promises that you give us that are wrote down, and they're there. And they're promises that are never go away. But my Father, as a community, we must come together to make good, honest decisions, but it has to come through honoring you. Whatever we do, if we honor you, my Father, I know it'll be right. And I just ask that everything that we do tonight, that we have the wisdom to see and understand and perform our jobs as they're called. Lord, I just ask you that as time to come and when we have a public meeting, that we'll have it and it'll glorify you. There's one thing that I always want to do is make sure that the people know that we serve them at their pleasure, Lord. And we thank you and we praise you for this day that you've given us. Of course, in Jesus' name. Amen. Please rise and let's say I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have one thing we need to amend the agenda for one piece of
Cap equipment for tapping the main water line.
all in favor?
All right, 27.
No, 10-8.
10-8. All right, I need a motion to approve the following of the minutes here below. On February the 8th, 2021, City Council minutes be approved. I'll second that. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, the second one will be March 11th, 2021, the workshop minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Second. All in favor? Aye. March 18th, 2021, City Council minutes.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, April 15th, 2021, City Council minutes. All in favor? Aye. All right, we have a motion here. First, you want to say something about the financial for the April, Mr. Andrew?
Gentlemen, it's in your packet, and what my recommendation is, since we've got the budget presentation, I've got a 21 present, I've got 21 in terms of where we're at, as well as 22. We'll just cover all of that at that time. But your financial report, your official financial report is done.
Do we have approval on that? All right, second.
Approved.
All in favor? Thank you. got several here for recognition, but, Ms. Kelly, you were on first there because you had already called in and asked, so I'm going to give you a short here.
I have two issues. The first one has to do with the trees that we cut down. I understand why we had to cut the trees. I'm a tree lover. I like to cut down trees. I understand that they were diseased and had to come out. However, I don't understand why we have 29 ugly stumps still sticking out of the ground. What's the plan for growing them out? Because number one, they're ugly, and number two, you can't replant the trees with those stumps there. And there are trees that you can get that have deeper taproots that don't make the kind of mess that those live oaks do. We lost our tree canopy and we can't put it out because we have those stumps. What's the point?
The one
Motion.
from it.
I was gonna say, there's a motion, there's an agenda, after.
After we talk?
After we talk.
Yes, that's why I threw my hand through.
This is Becky, but yeah, it's a motion or it's a recommendation, and I know agree. In terms of that, to look at that.
Yeah.
The ones on Cromley Road, we left it.
I understand that.
So that the contractors can dig them out easier.
Well, I wouldn't take them out. I don't know what's gonna happen with the bike path, but where the bike path to come where you have some stumps, I wouldn't either because somebody else would take them out. But there's a lot of stumps left that we can do something with. And I don't like to complain if you don't have a solution, and that is, I'll be more than happy to do some research to find out some trees that make lovely canopies that don't tear up the sidewalk, that we can make some plans from, and even work with the committee to try to get like churches, organizations, people to help sponsor trees, because I just have some trees planted today at my house, and I'm just telling you, 15-gallon trees are like $100, 30-gallon trees are $200, and they can be more than that depending on what you get. So, I mean, they're not cheap. This is not the time of the year to plant trees. I'm having some planted because I've had to wait so long for them to come in. But fall is a better time, but we have some time between now and then. I'm not saying I'm appointing myself, but I'm just saying if you need help, I'll be glad to help look for that. I don't think you should complain if you don't offer, and you don't have to take my solution, but anyway,
Thank you.
yeah.
One of the problems with those trees that was on Reed Street, not only were a lot of it decayed and starting to rot, our water main goes directly under those. And the one had created a serious problem with our
And
water.
like I said, I'm not here to complain about the trees. I mean, I was here the night y'all discussed that, and I understand why the trees had to come. I have explained that to lots of people in town. I understand that. It's just we've got to have a plan to take the ugly away and get some new trees put out, because we took the tree canopy away and now we don't have one. We need to grow them back. So that's one. The other issue has to do with, I understand also that you have to cut the right away so that you can mow and you can clean up. What I don't think you realize is when you bush hog them like you're doing, you've twisted them all up and you've skinned up the trees, you've opened all of them up for disease now. And what I'm telling you is, I've taken pictures all the way down my side of the street, and I'm surprised Joyce McKelvin in here throwing a temper tantrum. But when they get diseased, whether they're on the right of way or they're on my property, I'm gonna expect the city to take them out at your expense, because you're the one who's made them liable for disease. I don't like aspen because I hate the way they murder trees, but at least I will give them this. They take a saw and they cut them in clean cut so that you don't have a chance for disease. But all those skinned up trees and all those gnarly little things are an eyesore, and they're gonna, those things are gonna get disease as a result of the way they've been taken out. I talked to Daryl about that because he knows how I feel about my trees. And I know they're not my trees, but they go down the side of my property, and I don't want them dying and falling in my yard or falling on the street, and they need to be cleaned up. So rent a pole saw. You get a saw that goes on that machine. Now, he says there's one, but it only goes this way, and he needs one that goes that way.
They make one.
But we need to get it, if you're gonna use the hydro dig to do that, you need to get a saw on it so it makes clean cut so it's not ugly, and it doesn't cause disease with the trees.
They do make a saw for it. They do make a saw for it.
Yeah, he
We
said he
already got a
just
quote
didn't
on
have
it.
one, yeah. But he said it's one that goes straight forward, and he needs one that goes back and forth.
Well, there's two different ones.
Okay, well, whatever. But you need to get,
But
and then he needs to go back and clean all that up,
It's
so you don't end up
expensive.
with diseased trees, and it's ugly. I mean, look at those ones across from the elementary school that people see every day when they line up to get their kids. What an eyesore.
I think
Marjorie Frazier, and I've lived in Bullock County, Statesboro and Brooklet for over 45 years. And I taught at Neville's Elementary, at Stilson Elementary, and Brooklet Elementary. And my husband John served as principal at Southeast Bullock High School. And I do own property here in Brooklet and in Statesboro, and they're both on corners, so I know about right-of-way issues, a lot about right-of-way issues. I just wanted to make sure that I'm not just still sitting on my porch down there not saying anything, and I'm sorry we were not here last week. We were out of town during all the discussion about the SMS, and we were out of town on another trail, on another beautiful part of our country. I just want to publicly state that I am in favor of the SMS Greenway extension into Brooklet. There are amazing greenways all over this country. They're rails and trails. They're even in other countries, and we've been on those too. I'm not an athlete. I'm talking like I am, but I'm not. But I'm telling you, these trails are amazing. I know about them because I've walked on them. I've walked on them by myself. I was safe. John was riding his bicycle 50 miles in every state. I'm out there driving, trying to find him, and I'm walking these trails, and I'm seeing amazing things. So I'm telling you, they're great. These trails do pass through towns. They pass through cities, large cities. They pass through farms, and they go by even through playgrounds. They go by schools. They go by hospitals and other public venues. And I'm not making this up. I've seen it, okay? And I've seen all the families that are walking on these trails. I will continue to advocate for this extension, and I am excited that we are going to have discussion. And I'll be glad to present this to you, Mayor Grooms.
Thank you.
Okay, I want to make sure that the positive side is out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe the next will be Don Ross.
I apologize, but I don't have anything to offer right now, so thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Herman Johnson.
First time here, just observing.
Mr. Bill Gaskin.
Yes, sir. Really didn't have my back to most people that well, just address them here. I'm Bill Gaskin. I'm chapter president of Georgia Chapter 8 of U.S. Military Vets Motorcycle Club. We've occupied the Scout Hut for right at 4 years. And I just wanted to let you know what we've accomplished while we've been there, and convey our appreciation and, for the hospitality that the city has afforded us. In addition to serving as a place to hang our charter and hold our required meetings every month, the building has served as a meetup location and a starting point for rides to too many locations and events to count. We conducted 3 fundraising events for homeless vets and raised well over $9,000 that directly went to homeless vets in the form of food, clothing, tents, sleeping bags, survival equipment. We conducted a fundraising event for the Humane Society, the local Humane Society, and raised over $3,500 for them. The building served as temporary storage for thousands of pounds of food, water, clothing, and supplies for homeless vets numerous times. Much of this was collected at off-site events that we held in Statesboro, campouts, where we camped out and tried to experience what the homeless vets experience themselves on a daily basis. The items that we collected that were unneeded by the homeless vets that we support went to the local Goodwill, and again benefited the community that way in creating jobs there. We held several sort and pack events where we took the items that we collected, put them in new backpacks that we had purchased, and made it easy to distribute to the homeless vets. The building served as temporary storage and a distribution site for toys for less privileged children in the local area at Christmas time. I think that was a 24-foot enclosed trailer that we had full of toys that we managed to collect. We were the initial collection point for Toys for Tots that we delivered to Jimmy Great dealerships. We filled up 2 pickup trucks at the dealership for Toys for Tots. It was the central location for family and friends to gather after the death of Philip Reynolds on Brooklet, Denmark Road a couple of years ago. The family was extremely appreciative of that because most of them were from out of town. We hosted 2 wedding ceremonies conducted by one of our members. Don't know if that goes under good or bad. We haven't had any divorces yet. We were a collection point for soiled, damaged, and worn flags. We conducted 3 dignified flag retirement ceremonies there. We opened the building as a cool-down spot on Peanut Festival days, offering free refreshments to people that had gotten overheated. A lot of those were elderly citizens from here in Brooklet, but we happened to be there with the doors open, and we had cold water and something to eat for them. It was the operating location for both the wreath laying and cleanup activities for wreaths across America at the Brooklet Cemetery. In 2020, we purchased all of the wreaths that were laid ourselves. We laid them ourselves, and we picked them up ourselves and disposed of them. And most recently, we used the building as a planning location to host a fundraiser that was able to provide over $4,000 to the family of a toddler with leukemia. Although we didn't host the event there, all of the planning meetings went on there, and this was planned quickly and pretty effectively, I thought. But we appreciate the hospitality, and we will be moved out by the end of the month.
First, I want to say thank you for your service to our country and
Thank you.
and what y'all mean to us. Mr. Gadsby and I wish I would have known all this. I feel very inadequate to know that what y'all use that for and what you've done there at that little building. And we thank you.
We just want the city to know, we weren't out looking for recognition or anything, but we just wanted to know
Surely not.
what we were doing.
Anytime that we can help our veterans, ones that are less fortunate, sir, we do the same thing as we possibly can for the homeless in Chatham and Statesboro. If that does not work out and no one is using the building like we anticipate, my city council will know that you're doing those kinds of things. Sir, I apologize.
No apology needed.
Thank you for letting us know what work y'all are doing. Mr. Gilhowe.
You'll pick me right.
Where's he going?
How many want to settle that? That's an $85 cushion. Sits on my front porch. I run cats off it every day. I'm allergic to cats. My wife's allergic to cats. I'm not anti-pet by a long shot. I don't own cats. I don't own dogs. I spent over $450 repairing my front porch from what DNR told me cat food destroyed the basis of 3 turn columns at $105 a piece. Plus the labor to replace them, plus the labor to paint them. Nobody owns a cat. I've asked. I've gone to the door. Excuse me, ma'am. I live down here. Do you own this little black and white cat? No. You'll be all right if I kill it, right? But the sucker turned up my yard, turned up my furniture. No, you can't kill a cat. It ain't yours. Why would you kill? There's laws on the books. Chatham County passed one in the unincorporated areas. A cat has to be on a leash and carry box or in your yard. You know, you work on it. Brooklet has got a leash law. And it doesn't say dogs, I think it says pets. A cat's a pet. You ever try to put a cat on a leash? You'll try it sometime. Like I said, I'm not cats. Folks, some people run my cats. I'm ready to bring foxes back. Because that's a cat's favorite, his favorite meat. You'll wonder why I fuss about cats. I just give you a good example. Guys, what would your wife say about this? What would you say about it, Lord? What would you say about that? On your front porch, you got $400,000 house sitting there, and you got that on your front porch. Lady, I need to jump like you are. I need help. Every one of us in here needs help with cats. We got a feral cat problem. We got a domestic cat problem. I know for a fact, because I already had to deal with the state and the county over the lie. A lie is still perpetuated to this day. That's how I got this information and the information about my porches. State come and looked at it and said, cat's dying. So folks, I don't know what to do, but I'm begging for help, so I'm gonna start killing cats. Nobody owns a cat because I've asked. Not a bad blamed soul owns a cat in this town. So I'm killing feral cats. What else would you do? I'm protecting my property. Is that against the law, Chief? I'm protecting my property. Thank you.
More here. Give me about this pronounce Mabel.
Scribble,
I'm sorry.
Scribble, that might be me. Beagle, Eric Beagle.
Yeah, Beagle.
Okay.
Gotcha. That's a B.
You're not the only one that cannot remember.
No, it's 30.
Sure did.
Okay, well, you're not the only one that I'm here just to kind of follow up. I do appreciate the information you gave us about the trail. I live on West Main Street. That trail will come directly in front of my property. We have had kind of opinions shared on Facebook. I hope that you took that in a respectful manner. I did as well. After all, we are neighbors in a neighborhood. I will not deny that there are pros to a trail. I will not deny that at all. But the main concern that I share with plenty of my neighbors is that our children live so close to that road already. And you are taking up to 27 feet of front yards. Those are all of those trees along that road. Not only that, you are putting benches right at our front porches. There will be strategic, we've been told, strategic benches, strategic waste baskets. And so that literally would be 8 foot from my front porch. 8 foot from my porch. Now there are people who live closer to the road than I do. I'm not denying that there's eminent domain. I'm not denying that at all. But the concern is that we have 2 sidewalks. We have a sidewalk on either side of that street, for the majority of that street. It has served the community well. Many of the community members use that sidewalk. The trail in itself has to extend. It's part of a long-term plan. I've spoken with Cindy. It's part of a plan that will come from Athens to Savannah. So the plan for the trail is not to end in Brooklet, it's to move on to Stilson. And the residents along that trail bed on the other side of Brooklet have no idea. The public has not been informed. And I think that's where a lot of the outrage comes from, is that we were just kind of given all of this information in a very short time frame and just kind of expected to soak it in. we are gonna bring something like that directly to the front steps of our school as well, that every single parent should be informed. That, hey, your kid is gonna be in the schools, this is what we're opening that school up to. I have asked for safety measures, I was told none would be provided. I have asked how do we keep felons and pedophiles and predators away from our children as well, and I was told that cannot be regulated. That the city police department would have to take care of that. In turn, does that mean that we hire another officer to patrol that trail in the city area? And if so, you know, who's going to pay for that? What about our farmers? What about the land that's nearby? Because all that water runoff, all those drainage ditches that we have now are going to have to be restructured, and all of that water is going to have to run onto somebody's property at some point. So I think a lot of parts are moving that nobody has really given us any solid information on. And, you know, we are, as a general public in this neighborhood, we're just really unaware. You guys have not informed us. We haven't received any information. I've received one letter, and it was after I found somebody in my backyard taking photos of my house. That is how I found out about the trail. So already, I feel like my security and my safety has already been jeopardized because, you know, and that was perfectly fine that somebody could be in my backyard, my fenced-in backyard, taking photos of my home. So the comfort is not there for this trail. So while I do appreciate that you guys love to trail and have, you know, had that experience, my experience is not the same. And I fear for my children. I feel for the parents who have no idea what's about to come to them, and the fact that we have kind of all been misguided. So here's my piece on that.
If I could, I could answer a couple of those questions for you.
Okay.
The main thing is the trail has been in process for probably 20, in the planning stages for over 20 years. So it's been around for a long time.
And when we bought our house, we lived in that house for 9 years.
Right.
Nobody ever mentioned that to us.
They had a planning meeting, it was a public meeting, because it was here maybe 2 years ago.
I wasn't notified. I had no way to know about that meeting. Several of my neighbors didn't know about that meeting.
Well, it was publicized, because
And
that's how I knew
I
about it.
can understand that and I respect that, but at the same time,
The other thing is that railroad bed's been here, that right of way's been through town for probably over 100 years. So it's not that.
130.
Unless
130.
130. So it's not that we gotta take any land from anybody, because we don't, because right of way's already existing. The other thing that you said was 27 or whatever feet, I disagree, because when I looked at on the maps, it was 3-foot buffer, 10-foot sidewalk.
the engineer, I spoke to the engineer multiple times, 27 feet.
I disagree, but that's okay.
I understand that you disagree, but disagreeing is not the actual facts that we've been giving. So while you disagree, I've been giving facts from an engineer, from a project manager.
Okay. Well, I looked at the drawings and I saw what I saw.
I have the same drawings as
I'll
well.
leave it at that.
Okay.
My understanding is that people who bought the properties that had that right of way, that's part of their title. And they should have seen that when they bought it.
See,
It's
that's
listed on
exactly,
your title that there's a right of way there, that you're purchasing a property with a right of way on it.
that's exactly right, because I live on Main Street too, and when they had to put the road in, I knew, that's why we moved our house back. I knew they took 30 feet of the right of way to make the blacktop road.
I haven't questioned the right of way.
That-
My concerns that I expressed weren't about the right of way. My concerns were about the safety, the regulation of the safety of our children in
Oh,
the
you
elementary
said you
school.
didn't know anything about the.
I did not know, but
It
I
should be in your title. it
okay,
says.
and thank you for that information, but I didn't stand up here and complain about the right of way. That wasn't my
Well,
main.
I mean, that's why we're gonna have a public meeting, so we can take and talk about these things. Actually, when I first got here as mayor, I had no clue.
See, thank you.
Um,
And, you know, as you guys have explained, that I should have known about this, but the thing is I'm not. And if it's gonna be directly in front of my house, I feel like extra steps should at least be taken to clarify some things. I don't think that that's out of the question. I don't think that
That's why we're going through this process now, so that the people that don't know will learn. I mean, it's not gonna happen.
And this is the reaction,
next
this is
week
the
or
response.
Next month, or probably not even next year, so it's
No,
still a long
no,
way.
But I have a child that's 1. I had no intentions of moving. So my child that's 1 will be in elementary school in that time frame. But then you also have the families that are in
Now,
Stilton.
remember, we still have our public meeting where
I know.
we'll be able to force those, we have to get onto our agenda. that
Well,
we
everybody
set
wanted to make a
tonight.
comment, so I would like to respond to those comments.
So,
But yes, sir, I understand.
We have, when we have our public meeting, that's when we can work these things out. And trust me, we're gonna listen, and that's the deal with, the public has to have their opinions brought to us. That's what we do.
And the
that's
public
what we
be
do.
informed. I think that the lack of information that we're receiving is a big concern.
Well, one thing that, I think has, fell through the cracks is how long ago this actually started. And, it's a quick catch-up right now for some people. But like I said, we'll have a public meeting where they had the layout, of the bike path. I don't know if maybe if I can get some of that stuff back, so when we have the public meeting, we can actually look at it. It's not gonna be a 10-minute meeting, I know. I would ask one thing, when we do the meeting, if multiple people have one idea, I would ask that one person do the multiple. If there are gonna be individuals, we'll do individuals. It's something it's gonna be not a quick meeting, and I want to make sure that everybody comes. If they don't come and voice their opinion,
Sure.
then,
Do we have any idea when that would be?
I gotta get with the city council and find out, we're fixing to have school
Sure.
going out, so we gotta find when it's gonna work for everyone to be here. So,
I do wanna say that I appreciate I get the text from the city, and I don't know that everybody knows about that, but we signed up 2 or 3 years ago. They have a community, you need the city, who does that she could get on here?
I think, and when we have this meeting, we're gonna make sure that everybody has the text, because it does help.
And it's not, I can't respond back to you, and I understand that, but I do get texts from, very helpful.
And it includes things like water outages and when they're gonna be back on, all sorts of.
We'll be addressing that a little later in the agenda.
Okay.
If the one meeting is not enough, then we'll get Roy Thompson, the Bullitt County. They're willing to work with us any way they possibly can. Whether it's maybe shrinking it to a certain point, I'm not saying I'm for or against. Just listen,
Okay,
because
sure.
there's we're gonna have to find what's gonna work.
We already had them reduce the size down from 12
The
to
grant,
10 feet.
and I don't mean to interrupt or overstep, but the grant, for the federal grant, for them to receive it, that trail has to be a minimum of 10 foot wide. And it has to have at least, the minimum amount that it could be is 17 foot, because it has to have all of the different components. And that is coming from, the regulations
Just
in
gonna
the
give me a
grant.
grant and tell me exactly if it's gonna work or not inside Brooklet. So, we'll cross
Sure, and I've asked 1,000 questions, so, and
sometimes it's a little hard to get on that part, but believe me, your opinion and your family means something to me, so please don't think I'm trying to shut you down. I want to make sure that we can get through our meeting tonight, and we will have a public meeting.
Sure.
And if we need to, we'll come out, I will, and we'll walk, and we'll look exactly at your property. Anything I can help do to make this where, I don't want anybody to have something put on them that they don't want. But at the same time, I would like to see if there's enough that says, these are pros and these are cons, we're gonna have to look at them. If it doesn't work,
we've asked for maybe a different route, not directly coming straight through from the elementary school, but
we did too.
There's no other route.
well, they don't own the county doesn't own any other portion
Well,
of the
that's
city,
actually,
so.
that's what considered just old railroad. That's why.
And we did ask the county if they'd send somebody down here to flag it all out, so people could actually see what it's really gonna involve on the property, as opposed to looking at a map that's kind of.
That'd be a really good idea.
Well, I can tell you, if you drive down this road and you look for the little meter, like the little utility boxes that are along that road, that's where your right of way is.
But it doesn't necessarily, it
That
may
would
not
be-
stop there, it may come further into the yard.
Well, I'm just telling you how to get an idea
Oh, yes,
of where
and
that
I'm aware
line
of that.
is.
I mean, I have that plan, I have my property
So
line,
if you
I have all
wanna
of
visually
that.
lay eyes on it, just look for those utility
But-
boxes.
What we asked them to do was actually mark out the sidewalk, so that you could really get a visual on how much space we're talking, which is 10 feet, is not that much more than what's there now.
Once again, this is not gonna be a one-time meeting, I don't think.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm here, representing a lot of people that.
Well, once again, I would ask one thing, and then we're gonna go on. If you're gonna do it for multiple people, and they don't feel comfortable talking, ask them to please come to the meeting, because I still want the It's not that I want to see a face to say yes or no. It just allows me to see that there were 12 people that you're speaking for, or if Mr. John's doing it for 12 people for yeas and nays. It helps me see the ones that are for it and against it. That's all I ask. But like I said, your opinion means something. Your family means something. We will do what we possibly can. We'll have a meeting and we'll go from there.
I have all those papers I picked up from that meeting the other night. I'll be glad to pass them on to you. Right there.
Thank you. I should have picked up that for the meeting. All right. We're going on to our reports from the committees. I'll turn it over to you, President.
I guess the number one thing is we finally got the old truck donated to us, running and it's down getting the tire fixed. So hopefully in the next week or two you'll see a new the vacuum that we've had for years. It's just been under the shelter, coming by sucking up leaves and pine straw and dirt out of the gutters. And we've been working on a thing probably since Christmas time or thereabouts, and we finally got it this week. So glad to get that over with. We got to get the tag on it and the insurance authority on it. So finally a little progress, and we came in under 10,000 with the whole all the repairs and everything on it. So that worked out really good. All the electrical on the well building got finished. All the repairs on the well building got finished. The work we had done on the city work buildings, all that's finished. We're through with the pumps on Goodman Street, except for a new steel lid on the last pit and one more float that had to be put in, and that should happen in the next hopefully 2-3 weeks, and that'll be that project will be wrapped up.
That's some quotes here that we'll put in for later.
Yeah. And then everything else is moving along pretty good. So I'll leave it down on that part.
Councilman Anderson?
I'm gonna take it, because I'm gonna do most of the up-to-date budget in terms of where we are. I'll do it in the budget report, so I'll save time.
Thank you. Councilman Stanoff?
Yeah. The final report on the hydrants has been given to Nikki, so we don't have as many broken as we thought.
Good.
And I came across a program that I think is just absolutely unbelievable for the city. And it addresses Mrs. Fraser's concern about everybody getting a word by text or whatever. The program's called Reach Alert. Every household in the city can be contacted by their choice, be it email, text, or phone, or more than one. It includes everybody that lives in the household. If they have different phones, they can be included. It allows a message of 600 characters, which is plenty for most information you want to pass out. The audience can be selected in groups. The computer has the capability of telling the people who live on Main Street certain information, or the people that work over here certain information. It is a dynamic program. Currently, I have in my hand the bill that Lori is supposed to pay for the current system that we have. It's $1,830. I guess that's per year.
Is that the text one?
Yeah, to text everybody. The program I'm referring to doesn't cost the city anything. It costs the residents $1 a year. $1 a year. The second year it costs $2 for the year. They have no plans of an increase, which we all know sooner or later that will increase. But folks, I'm telling you, for $1 a year, they'll bring the program down, teach Lori how to use it. They can make one other side program to you, Mayor, if you want to go on the program and because of a hurricane or emergency, we don't have to pay money for a siren or even worry about getting the money set up to buy a siren. This will reach everybody the way they want to be reached, because not everybody gets text. I know I don't. And I just think the program is something we ought to move into really quick. So anyhow, Every city within 400 miles goes through our risk management office in Bullitt County. And all of those cities have grants in for generators. It's a really good deal, folks. It costs the city 15 cents on the dollar. So, and these generators are very expensive. However, Corey told me that the grant would probably get approval sometime in October. And once it's approved, there's a backlog of 12 to 20 weeks to get the money and get the generators. There's a backlog of generators. So yeah, imagine that. So we're talking about being through this hurricane season before we see a grant generator. And I think we need to do something to protect our water system.
Right now, I hate to say it, that, the generators that we were supposed to get for the, military are going to trump everybody else's.
Yeah.
And we can't get generators right now, so, I mean, yeah, I'm like you, I mean, that's something that we're gonna have to definitely say and talk about. I don't want a hurricane season to slip up on us and we not have any generation for our water system.
I would like to ask the group if they've got anything that they would like to say about the alert system that I mentioned. Anybody find it an incumbents to pay $1 a year?
I'd be interested to know how, is it have a good track record, has it been around for a while?
Yes,
Is it, it's a solid company?
Yes,
and-
yeah. It's a proven program.
Jim, what size generator do we need now? We had to change that with.
Well, we don't need the 60 kW anymore.
Yeah.
Since we have a 30 horsepower, 22 kW.
So 25,
Yeah.
that month, an emergency.
The only problem we have is when I talked to David, the guy that does all the electric and puts them in,
Yeah.
One thing needs to be.
the lock rotor, they call it, which means if it freezes,
Yeah.
for an instant, it pulls 568 amps, which David said, God, that's a lot of current. I said, yeah, probably for a telephone pole. But it only lasts that long for a breaker case. But he has to have that information to figure out.
It's what we call phase lock, you overload the generator, and when it does, it rolls the thermistor down and locks it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or bond it.
So it's a 30 horsepower, 22 kW motor, 230 volt three phase. And,
So we would also, if we could, to have some of that, we can work the police department, so they'll be able to be up and running during the
Right.
time of,
now, the guys that came, I had another guys come from the super center in Savannah to see if I could work something out with them. They said they could put one household generator in, that they could run a single phase, which would run the police department and public works.
Yeah.
Because you have one refrigerator in each location and a computer and lights. And so they said,
I think the one we got, I think the generator we got would do that.
it might.
I'm pretty sure it would.
good thing about it is once we get it in, then we can take and, fine tune it to what we need.
The transfer switch is where your expenses come in. Unknown expenses. And I found out from, this gentleman from risk management, he said new houses starting in 2022, part of the installation of the home is gonna be a transfer switch built on the house.
Yeah, when we had that work done, they
Saving
printed
lives.
arrangements for, to put in the transfer switch, so
Is that
it's not
right?
gonna be, it's not gonna cost very much for you to come back and add that transfer switch,
600,
or less,
something like that.
yeah.
That's all I have, sir.
Thanks, sir. Councilman Griffith.
The tree project that we had going on last month was completed on time. When they were taking the trees down, all the trees had a lot of dead in them. It's a good thing we went on and took them down when we did, especially with hurricane season coming. snowplow field later on as we get dark.
Thing about it is I was in the back of my shop, grinding on a piece of equipment, and half of a pecan tree snapped out. And the Lord gave me enough time that I took my earbud out. I was listening to music. I thought my phone was ringing while I was getting my music through my phone. I'm saying this, I don't ever want to have to cut a beautiful tree in Brooklet, especially the 200-year-old trees. But if it wouldn't have been for that earbud coming out, I never would have known that a pecan tree, the limbs were about yay big around and laying right on it. It comes a time where a tree's only got a certain amount of life in it, and Mr. John was gracious enough to give us a time that he believed in what we were saying, but we got somebody to look at them. Trust me, they were in bad shape. I'm glad we got them down, because the last thing I want to do is see a citizen with it on top of their house, or even worse, maybe somebody driving down the road and happening to them.
One comment I did get down there on the Lee Street, the gentleman that lived there, he said he drove up by his house twice because he.
It looks so bad. All right, Chief, we'll turn this over for you.
Okay, we are pretty much back up to strength as far as what we're doing. As you can see, our requested calls for service this last reporting period, we had an increase. It's up to 83. And then self-initiated calls for service is where the officer sees something or hears something and gets out and does something. We had 65 of those, for a total calls of service 148 that our officers dealt with this past month. Also, you notice the citations have gone up quite a bit. This is in response to the loud exhaust and the complaints we had of people speeding down Highway 80 in Crumley Road. So, we are trying to get a handle on it again, and I appreciate your patience. As you know, we've had a rough time of it here lately, but I will go back over that. On the last two pages of handout I gave you, you see something that is a standard operating procedure for a Brooklet firearms range. Let me give you a brief synopsis of what I'm talking about here. We had our annual qualification this last week, which means once a year we go out and see if we can hit target. And I'm proud to say that all our officers qualified. We even had 3 of us that qualified with, like a better term, AR, a rifle, and 2 with shotguns. But the interesting thing that happened at range is we had a new officer who went out with a brand new gun who could not hit the target. He shot several times trying to qualify and could not. Well, the range master took the gun and said, well, let me see it for a moment. He could not hit the target. He is an expert marksman. Obviously, the problem was with the gun. Well, here's where I'm going to ask for the council's help. Had he not had the opportunity to fire it on the range, heaven forbid he had to fire it on the street.
Oh, jeez.
I'm asking that if you could help me to put a small 2-lane firing range back behind Southeast Tower where we normally dump. And it would cost us the use of a backhoe for a day or so. And probably a maximum of about $300 for signs and things like this. You see my operating procedures there. It would operate during daylight hours. On Sunday, I think it goes from like 2 in the afternoon till 8. So taking into consideration it being Sunday. But what we'd like to do is have it so that it's available for our officers. It would be a private range so that they could go out, 2 of them at a time, could go out on their off time and do some practice and make sure their gun is functioning properly. Yes, sir.
Chief, what? I don't know what this range looks like, or what is do you have a built-in safety precaution for a bullet going beyond the range?
That's what we need to backhoe. We're talking about we would have to have a berm put up in the back and a berm on each side. And that's the way it is with all police ranges, is you completely berm it in so that there can be no stray shots. And we'd have two officers going out there at a time, of course for safety reasons, in case accidents do unfortunately happen. If something happens, we have another person there. And also to make sure that range safety protocol is being carried out.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What is your ability to go out to the county's range? Do they limit how many, can you not go out to the sheriff's department range and?
We could, I'm sure we'd have to make arrangements with them, and they have to have their range master out there. Now, I don't know, I haven't even checked into it, to be perfectly frank with you, simply because I saw this to be an easier and probably better solution, in my opinion, because they can go as they get off work in the mornings and go out there and shoot and practice. But that's something I could check into.
I would definitely look into that. You don't want people walking on a bike path. Why you should probably be okay with loose bullets over here behind the tire store.
I will look into that. Okay.
How tall will the berm be?
The berm will be a good 8 feet, 6 to 8 feet.
Pretty close. I think it's a good idea. How about the noise?
Well, and that's the reason why we limit the time. And the berm does help to constrict the noise.
Big Anderson noise. I pay $20 a year and go to Georgia Southern and shoot. Indoor air conditioning.
I'm just looking for a solution some officers can practice.
I do think it's important that they practice that. I think it's important for them to keep that skill and maintain that skill.
Thank you, yeah.
That's something that we'll check into, Chief.
Okay.
I agree with what the chief is saying, because a sidearm or a long gun is no better than the man using it. And if the man ain't picked it up to use in 2 months, he can't get the broadside the barn and work around.
I wasn't
Because he's
not
totally
trained.
unfamiliar with that weapon.
I go out to the dirt pile at my daddy's house all the time and practice with mine.
Right. You know what I'm
So,
saying?
because I want to be comfortable with my firearm.
Exactly.
I just was curious as to, they have that facility here in Bullitt County, you know, what would prevent us from being able to use that? That
The
was my
chief's
question.
right. You can't get on their range whatsoever without their range master. And they have one, and he has other duties than range master. You just about have to schedule it.
Have you looked into the distances?
Noise factor's not gonna be that much.
No, I know the noise factor, I hear guns all the time where we are in West Lane, but the actual travel, you know, if they're not on work, if they're not on the clock or working, I get that, but, you know, what's the distance to your other option, and how long, you know, what time frame that is,
I'm not even familiar with their range, because I don't use it at all. We use Rankin's range.
multiple, I'm sure there are a lot of different
It's
options.
something that we'll check into. If nothing else, we'll put one on mine. I got a nice firing range right behind my house.
Amen. Right.
Gilbert, I don't see where there's gonna be a problem with us making sure that our officers, because I believe in gun control, that's hitting what you're aiming at.
Exactly.
You have moving targets on your yard, don't you?
I do. Not on this one.
Run on down here on the street for practice.
It's in my backyard, y'all, come on.
Bobby, would you help us out with this?
Oh, okay, I'll help you out. I wasn't present last month, so I'm gonna give last month's report first. I did 58 inspections, issued 5 COs, and issued 15 new permits. And as for this month, I did 141 inspections, issued 3 COs, and issued 21 new permits.
36 for Hugh, 36 permits for Hugh.
Yep.
Wonderful.
And 8 COs, so wanted to keep them ready to move in.
That's 8 more trash cans.
Revenue, we gotta have revenue.
Did you finally get enough ordered?
Trash cans?
Yeah, oh yeah, okay.
We got about an extra 150.
Well, that won't last long.
I hope not.
No, All Green has a shortage on their cans, by the way, which I don't understand, they just picked up how many in Brooklet?
Probably about, we were supposed to have 700 customers, they probably picked up 1,800 trash cans.
Yeah, but if you, last week when we called, they have a shortage.
Right, we got plenty of their cans, you want one?
Let's go to something else.
Yeah, the daughter's grandma we called.
We got some old business, we're gonna start with the downtown sewer project update.
Yeah, I had planned on, our city engineer being here tonight, but he had to be out of town on a business trip. So I'm gonna let him kind of explain where we are, kind of doing where this where we are up to date. We kind of finally got some cooperation from the health department to at least look at and not necessarily issue a permit, but give us guidance and direction on how to build drain fields. So that's an improvement. And Wesley's come up with 2 phase 1 and phase 2 plan. I really don't want to explain that without him here, so I'll wait if you don't mind until we get him here. One would be a short-term quick fix for maybe the Mexican restaurant part of it, and the second phase would be to tie everything else in down to what a full-blown EPA certified drain field, which takes a lot longer to do. So it's really going to come down to a matter of, you know, if we want to try to help the restaurant immediately, and then the rest of the downtown, in approximately a year later. But I don't know if that's
I'm sure probably a lot of people in here had the food from the Mexican restaurant, and kind of give you an update, or kind of give you an idea of what's going on. They're paying $2,000 a month to have set things because it won't work. So that gets into a lot of trouble. But unfortunately, we can't get Bullitt County will not give us a permit. Of course, there's no way to dig it up. There's nowhere to put the drain field. And these are the things that we want to move forward. We're trying to get a sewer system in at least downtown Brooklet, and then moving towards getting the rest of the city within time on city sewage. I've had some that said that they didn't want it. Personally myself, I got 2 septic tanks on my house. I'd love to have city sewage and not never have to deal with another septic tank.
Amen. Amen.
But we are moving towards that way, and we are making studies. So
one of the other options Wesley come up with too is pumping it all the way down the City Street and unload it into that system that is existing. That would probably be our cheapest, quickest way out to get some help for the restaurant.
Yeah, for downtown.
Yeah, well, not for the whole downtown, but then as phase 2 would be to build a new field that's EPA or EPD, whichever it is, approved, that would catch the rest of the downtown.
if you ask them where's the other, there's a part of Goodman Street that does not drain. It's backed up actually to where it comes across Crumbly Pond, and it takes and makes that turn where you see all the dead wood that's been backed up because of a flow system that was allowed to be put in on down at the sawmill. But anyhow, they have a sewage because they have no way of being able to flush most of it. So there is a field that we can take and temporarily get it to it, but that means going down a pretty good little dig to get there.
Yeah.
So
Is their issue the amount of water that they are using in that? Like, is that like there's just I mean, I'm asking because I owned a restaurant in that same building prior to them.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have those problems.
I think it's the amount of traffic, the amount of people using the bathroom, and the drain field on that thing is probably no bigger than between me and the city attorney.
Right.
So I mean, it's very minimal space they got to move a lot of water. Their average water bill is somewhere between 10 to 16,000 gallons a month, and they're fixing to add on that new or open up the new section, and it's going to go even higher.
So this is the amount of usage they have.
and this is a good thing because honestly it's a good restaurant.
Oh yeah, I've frequented. I'm not. I was just curious as to.
According to what the guy that owns it told me the other day, they're probably somewhere around 15
Yeah, I was just curious, I mean, obviously they
Yeah,
cook with grease and that sort of thing, so,
but you know, we got a problem with them, we got a problem with the bank, I mean, everybody down there is struggling. I think Don's wanting to do something on some property he's got over there, I mean, it's just,
You can't get permits.
We
Can't
gotta
get
do something.
permits to put in, Don's tried in Bullitt County won't allow.
so, I mean, we may have to go at it as a phase 1, 2 thing, just to get the cooperation from the health department, to get us to do something so Wesley can work the EPA, approval part of it, so. Like I say, I really want him here, because he had some drawings ready and stuff like that, but I guess we'll go over again next time when we get him here.
So you're thinking maybe a year and a half for the second phase?
That's what he's saying. He said the permit process with EPD or EPA, whoever it is about a year. So.
I did tell him to make that a first and
Priority,
foremost
yeah.
priority, so that hopefully that'll kind of move a little bit longer. And maybe we can, have some help with,
There's several different ways of going at it. It's a matter of whether you put in a full-blown manhole collection system with the intentions of tying in to a full-blown sewer system later, or do we just put in some small 2-3 inch line and pump it down to the existing Goodman thing, you know, just for kind of like a Band-Aid fix?
that's what I was gonna ask, if that was a Band-Aid.
Yeah, it is, but the cost difference between doing those two things is probably a couple $100,000, so it's not a cheap thing to put in a traditional manhole collection system for future use, in other words, so there's still some things we're gonna have to work through to figure out what's the best way to go at it. But, that's kinda where we are on that part.
next thing we got here on old business is, discussion and maybe a possible motion to approve the quote from, Cooper Electric in the amount of $1,685.50 for the electrical work that was performed last month, in, April, in Brooklet, down at,
That was on the well pump.
well pump.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? All right, any discussion or possible motion to approve the quote from, Go Forth, Williamson? This is for the amount of, $2,950. Now, this is repair of the lid on the septic system that, Mr. Pro Tem was talking about on Goodman.
And the additional flow we had now. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? All right, discussion, if there's any of, possible motion to approve the quote on, Go Forth on Williamson, for the amount of $11,529 for the repair of the electrical controls at the water tower. I think you probably gonna have to.
Yeah,
take a look at.
that's not exactly right. It's not the water tower, it's the entire control system for the 2 wells and the water tower. As y'all all know, we've been struggling with this thing since sometime last year. We still haven't got that control system to work any kind of way. The first people that we agreed to spend over $6,000, whatever it was back then, they came, they didn't have the complete package of equipment like I asked them to quote. So that kind of fell through the cracks. The Go Forth Williamson people are the ones that specialize in pump controls and all, like the drain fields and everything. So while they were here working on Goodman, we asked them to get a quote together for taking all the controls that we have now, throwing it all away and starting all over with brand new controls for both wells and the water tower. Something that can be run by a smartphone. Just current technology and not obsolete like the thing we got. I had asked the guy, the bunch that gave us the first quote back when, for the $1,000 to give us a quote based on a complete system replacement. Never heard back from him. This is the only quote I got. We don't have to do it right now, something to chew on, but that's about where we are if we want to upgrade this control system.
Had that first system they put in, you could have launched a rocket to Mars with all this stuff.
Yeah, and then the other thing about this system is you get to add up to, I think it said up to 6 more wells. So in other words, you control multiple wells, same setup. So we really need to do something. I just don't know if now's the time. We manually having to run between the wells still like we have the last year. But all I can tell you is, from what I've found out digging into it, is everything down there, the technology is totally outdated.
Yep.
parts, cause it's all obsolete.
No, and nobody, there's no drawings on it, all that stuff was lost, nobody can figure out how it works, or why it works, or how to work on it. So it's just,
The reason that you have to have this is so it alternates between the wells.
yeah.
You don't leave one well running all the time and one sitting idle. It also knows when the tank's full and it knows when to shut off. It's very important, so it keeps a good running system. Brad, I mean, I'm asking questions here because
Financially, we have lots of repairs this year, and when you see the budget versus in terms of the original budget versus in terms of what our estimated expenditures are. We are expected to spend $374,000, and we were expected to bring in $375,000. So we're going to burn through pretty much 100% of the annual collections. And actually, these collections are part of that. As I know everybody in this room, there's a line on your bill that says water capitalization. Actually, the reason that you'll see in just a few minutes why that's about $40,000 more than the actual estimated budget amount is because we have not necessarily transferred this year's water capitalization funds out because we've invested it back in the system. So that's why your funds expending is higher.
The $17,000 well pump that helps.
This is true. We're fond of water, so.
Yeah, so
unfortunately, it seems like we go a couple of steps forward. Things are getting better. It's just we just can't foresee things that tear up.
yeah, just keep in mind that both of those wells are about the same age, within probably a year. So if the first one quit the other day, the chance the other one will quit shortly. Just a word of encouragement there. We may have to think another $16,000.
The hours on well too are much less,
So what are we gonna do? I mean, this is just something.
My recommendation would be if we can hold off. But I mean, I also understand, do we have some reserve? The answer to that is yes. We have reserve for immediate.
Well, the other thing I was thinking, we approved whatever it was back then, that 6, whatever. But technically, it would be just the difference between these two, which would be about another 6.
Yeah.
But I mean, we can work like we are. If we need to wait, we'll pay.
Like I said, I'm just basing it on available money.
Until the race, we'll be good. So,
At least we know what we got a cost of.
now, I don't know how long that quote would be good for, because they just turned it in like a couple of weeks ago, so. And if it's like everything else that's going on, it's probably gonna take a while to get stuff even do it.
Yeah.
So, that's the only thing that makes me a little nervous is it may be months before we get it anyway.
Is there any money we can get from somebody else, like a state or a grant to help with that?
Not that I know of. If we did, it'd be like anything about it was generated over the last year. I mean, we could have dug a well by hand by the time we did it.
Now, that is true.
There's a lot of things to check into and everything. That the first thing that when you go and start looking at, because of COVID, that's the first thing. So they're going ahead and telling you that you can apply for it, but it's going to be some time.
I really don't know what to say. I feel like we need to do it, but I understand we've had a lot of maintenance.
But wasn't that last year because it didn't switch back on and forth, and the other one kept running for like 2 years or
Well,
something?
yeah, we had run that well number 1 probably
That's not good.
almost constantly for the last 2 years, and it burnt the wiring up on it. Down in the bottom of the well. From the vibration.
They would probably, honestly, we probably pull that out of SPLOST if you want to. The reason I say that is because it is a major water system repair, which is listed actually in SPLOST.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. The reason we haven't taken some of that other out of there is just simply because the police budget sort of took a greater percentage of that SPLOST, and we're trying to save that in terms of some of those identified projects, but that's an option as well.
Yeah, you know, we had a hard hit on Goodman Street down there. Nobody expected that either. And then the well went out, so.
No, I can't do that.
You know, that's pure lack of maintenance over the last 15 years, in my mind. But if you think we okay, I'll make a motion to proceed.
Can we afford it? The answer to that is yes. We can't afford it.
I'll make a motion.
God.
To have go for Williams and get us some active well control at work.
That's for a second motion.
Are you gonna use SPLOST or regular money? Like, what's the plan?
My recommendation is probably, we could probably use regular money, regular water fund.
Regular money.
Yeah, regular water fund money, the enterprise fund.
Not what you said, but that's okay.
You know I'm cheap, I'm not seconding it, somebody else has to second it.
All in favor?
Unfortunately,
Once they're fixed and it's done right, then hopefully we won't be
Well,
seeing this
the
anymore.
other good thing about this company, I will say this, is this is what the people specialize in, and we need somebody like that. So we got somebody to go through on that Goodman Street thing and as well control. So we have talked to, I bet you, 5 or 6 different people about that well control system, and nobody understands it.
This is obsolete.
There's not many people that do that kind of stuff, so. I think that's a
I'd
really
rather
good
deal
thing.
with one place, so that way, you know,
Well, that's my thought, we got one vendor for the sewer stuff and the water stuff.
we find part of the other stuff, you know,
As long as we don't get them mixed
once
up.
you get that fixed right, it's like a well, I mean, at least we got a new pump, new wire. We're not doing this twice.
Right.
All right, on the next here, we're, going to have a discussion concerning the approval of the budget and the ballot for the rental house repairs and labor.
Mayor, I don't need to see that, but I was gonna say, this is a number that's two pronged. Because one deals with personnel concerns, and personnel concerns in that particular case truly belongs in executive session. The dollar amounts actually belong in open session, so, it's two pronged. I don't know how you're gonna handle that, but.
Money wise, we have to do it out.
The money pieces you gotta deal with out here.
The problem that we're having with it is, Bobby asked me to put it on the agenda, and Bobby did, but anyways, when y'all approved that budget, y'all only approved the material for $7,000. But and then there was also labor, but it was only mentioned and spoke about how the labor was gonna be paid, but it was never voted on or anything. So far we've got spent out with that 208 East Lee Street rental house $11,000 of the change, and that also includes the labor for the house repairs. And we're just ready to move on it, like, we need to get it rented, it's just been sitting
It's
there.
got to pay for itself.
And
It's taxpayer money, it's got to pay for itself, it's got to have revenue. My question is, how to go forward with this? What we need to,
Well, material is pretty well where we ended up, right?
Actually,
the
material is
material,
cheaper.
we've still got about 3,000 in material left. But the problem is with the labor part of it more so.
But if you look at the big picture, we're still funded up my proposed budget.
I get that, but we didn't vote on
Right,
that.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
When we take them, I'll make it schedule to do this instead.
okay,
Make a motion that we table this and move this to a work session.
Second.
all in favor?
And we can have that scheduled probably in the next 2 weeks, so that house can get finished.
All right,
10.1 was mine.
okay.
After lengthy conversation with Nikki, and several other folks in town, I would agree that, that several of those stumps we needed, we could get, maybe even the folks that we got the original bids from, to give us a quote on grinding the stumps, and have that at the next meeting, that way we can go.
Brad, I'll do you one better.
You're awesome. Didn't realize that.
What we're looking at is the 3 stumps on Lee Street, the 3 stumps on Main Street, and the 2 stumps down to the community center.
Yes.
The one down by the church. The
So is
problem is, 2 bids, and they looked at them, they said they can grind them down with a few exceptions. The one has a telephone pole sticking out on it. They can only get so close to the pole. And on parts of the other, it was right either up tight against the cement or over the cement, and they cannot do that because if they hit those cement with the teeth on those grinders, it'll tear them up, and that's $3,000 per tooth.
Which is why we find
With-
grind on the front.
With that being said, FSH Tree Service to remove all the stump that they can, they bid $1,300. That's cleaning it up and everything. The second bid I have was from Walker Tree Service. He put in here 2 bids. The first one, $1,600, and the city will remove the debris he grinds up, or $2,100, and he'll clean it all up.
But that's not what we have to grind them up either, so.
No,
So everybody knows that.
and we told them to grind it down 2 to 3 inches below ground level.
With FSH, they clean up, they clean it up behind,
It's $1,300.
It's a no-brainer.
and I make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
They done a great job. I mean, I commend them on taking these trees down to.
Okay.
I'll give him a call in the morning.
Discussion and possible motion to accept the quote for trimming the trees throughout Brooklet Plantation subdivision.
If you look in your packet, you will see some pictures. I had Darryl take the hydro digger out there one day, and I took pictures with a hydro digger.
They gonna do it the same way they're doing the stuff now?
No.
Lord knows, ma'am, it's good.
Becky's next.
Bear with me.
You just go ahead and get back up at the podium and we can.
I know.
Bear with me.
Spend so much money.
I'm gonna disable that thing myself. I know it's broken, I did not break it.
I went out there Tuesday when they was out there with the trash truck. You'll see pictures in your packets
Oh, yeah.
with the trash truck.
Pictures.
You want that?
I watched them go down to the end of the street and turn the truck around because of the trees that's in the cul-de-sacs. He had to zigzag that truck a half a dozen times just to get it to turn around because of the trees. I'm gonna jump here just a minute, Brad. When are you planning on sending out another, city newsletter?
It should have been in June, but good luck with that. It may be July.
All right, something we need to put in there, all of the residents in the city need to be pointed out to them. You do not put your brush under your trees and expect it to get picked up. You don't pile your leaves under the trees and expect it to get picked up. It makes the work so much harder on our guys, and takes them a lot longer to do that.
So I need to tell my husband to move this pile to the other side of the driveway. There's a tree down
After the
there.
person cuts the right of way, you won't have a problem anymore. There's nothing out there now. It won't be a
He
problem.
puts his little bucket in stuff over there by that tree.
He can continue to put
Okay.
it where it is.
I love trees, but then they become a city responsibility to trim them up so you can get your equipment down through it. And
Unfortunately.
Well, all of those
Put it all
trees
in the
are
Yeah.
in the city right away. There are 59 trees we're talking about.
When that subdivision was built, they planted the trees in the right of way. Nobody apparently back then realized that was not a good idea. So now it's all, they belong to us.
I approached I told them I got the 2 quotes, and one I explained to them we wanted to do about 1.5 feet off of pavement to cut up about 12 feet, and then just make a tunnel out of it so that it looks decent. I got 2 quotes FSH for the 59 trees, $8,850. That's $150 per tree.
Right, they're doing better.
Walker Tree Service, Walker Tree Service for the 59 trees, they will do it at $100 per tree at $5,900. That's cut, cleared up, cleaned out.
I do believe that would be a T-spot, it could be a T-spot expenditure, and I need to lay eyes on the actual original,
And we are having trouble with school buses in there too.
I mean, it's.
School buses, UPS, all of them.
He has a vote. Sure, he has a vote.
It's the right way to do our right away.
Yeah, it's probably.
Well, can we make sure that, we do some education about trees and highways and right-of-ways? I think that that's something that we need to make sure we get that tightened up, because, it's costing a lot of money for one subdivision.
Yeah.
That thing hadn't been touched. I think Darryl and Gene said they went in there some years back with a limb saw, standing in the bucket on the back of it.
Yep.
He tried to do
I don't
something.
think that's gonna work. Not from what I see.
But it, it's probably not touched.
Yes, Becky?
Brad, you gonna check on that, and then we'll table it right at the moment.
I think tentatively, let's philosophy, if we move it to streets, because it's not, originally in the SPLOST language of the, referendum, then, we'll just do a note to the council that it will be moved to streets, but I think tentatively, let's put it in T-SPLOST, I think it's good to do.
I'd like a motion, we go ahead and get Walker Tree Service to take care of that.
Second.
All in favor?
You
So that's
can
gonna be
do it.
Walker on that?
Yes. For $5,900.
All right, discussion and possible motion to contribute $1,500 to the BCBA for the 2021 Brooklet, Peanut Festival. Y'all let me come to the citizens about this. Prior to us, each year there was $1,500 that was, contributed to the BCBA, that's Brooklet, Community Development Association, that's the ones that put on the Brooklet Peanut Festival. The last year they didn't have it, and with the meeting, I told them I would bring it to council for the $1,500. So I think, Mr. Bradley, you had a concern on one thing that you wanted to bring up?
I do. I guess a couple of things that I'd like to point out. Number one, I don't necessarily know, in terms of city council, what the city council get for the $1,500. Ideally, whenever we take and expend money for pipes, for trees, for whatever it may be, we're transparent. Obviously, anybody can do an open records request and get whatever the invoice is. Well, for that $1,500, what are we going to say? The citizens of Brooklet got it.
Good question.
Well, I can tell you, I don't know, that's y'all's decision on what to get, but I remember that this issue came up several years ago. And we actually did a charter amendment to make it legal for, I don't remember the exact language, but things like promoting tourism and various things such as that. It's in the charter, we could read it. But that was a way of it legalized, because generally you just can't give city money to whatever.
That was my concern. I think probably even more broadly than that, I think the part that probably bothers me is the fact that I think we're going to get ourselves in a bind discrimination-wise, and here's why. We contribute $1,500 to this event, and none of that money in terms of the city does not require BCBA to sign a facilities agreement to use the festival ground. The city pays all the overtime for the officers. The city pays any work that our our streets and work crew, we put that bill. Yet we charge facility. We charge families black light to use it for a family reunion. We pick and choose who we allow to use it for free and who we don't allow to use it for free. We pick and choose who we're gonna make a donation to, who we're not gonna make a donation to. Just like the Scout Hut, that's, number one, I applaud the great work you guys did. But what we did was allow this particular group to take over a city-owned facility just if you'd cover the power bill. Well, I mean, I don't know how we justify that. I don't know how we equitably do that. You are a governmental entity. You have to take and be equitable in how you do and treat and serve the public, or at least that's my belief. That's one of the reasons why I truly believe we need a facilities use agreement. I'm going to reiterate it again. We need one in this city because it's only going to take the city being sued. I'm going to vote no this evening. That way, whenever the city gets that discrimination suit, I want it clear that they go against you guys. Because, I mean, not that I'm not opposed to the Peanut Festival. I go to the Peanut Festival every year. But we're not equitable in how and who we choose to fund, who we choose to take care of, and who we choose not to. And I just think it's wrong. We need to be equitable in how we do that. I'm not saying don't give BCDA the money. I don't think it's wise, especially if you don't know what you're getting for it, especially considering you're fronting probably a third of the bill. I know our overtime the last time I looked was right at $3,800 for that one weekend. The citizens of Brooklet foot the bill. The citizens of Brooklet get no additional lost or local option sales tax money out of that because it doesn't come to the city of Brooklet. It's the citizens here who pay for that. And I think in terms of if I can't tell Becky, if Becky calls me, I'm not saying she would, but if she calls and wants to know what was that $1,500 for, I can't tell you.
So they use the facility for free and they're asking for $1,500 on top of that?
And the part that concerns me is they charge others to utilize the grounds to set up their tents, to sell various
It's like $8.
whatnots.
I did it on $8.
And so, who's getting? We don't get the money, but we're allowing you to use the festival grounds, and I think there just needs to be, and I understand if there's for example, governmental entities to other governmental entities use the facilities sometimes are free. I understand that, they're both tax exempt. If this was a nonprofit organization, you know.
This is a beautified Brooklet, whatever it stands for. What do they put that? Are they putting them up? The $80 they charge for all of these folks to set up these tents and all out there, and that what do they put it back into the community anywhere? I mean, who's making that money?
Benches downtown.
But my thing is this: you're using taxpayer dollars.
Yeah, I get that.
To pay for that, but there's no disclosure. There's no, in terms of I'm assuming they're a nonprofit. They have listed on their website they're a nonprofit. I asked Lori in terms of do we have their 501c paperwork? We do not. Have we ever sent them a 1099 for their $1,500? We've never sent them a 1099 for their $1,500. It's an absolute mess. And so how am I to tell somebody else? Well, no, you got to pay to use that. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, just to clarify on your comment, they're responsible for maintaining the ditches downtown?
No.
They put them out there and that's it. They just put the benches out and we're good. That's all that they're, okay.
I just think if that's going to be the case, there needs to be some sort of agreement. But I have serious concerns giving, even though I understand it was legalized, my bet it was probably legalized after the fact. But I didn't mean that. But what I will.
The issue came up about if wind isn't legal, and generally, what you say is right. You generally cannot donate money to organizations. You can't give away the city money. But you can classify certain things legal. And the thought was that the council at that time said promoting tourism in the town and that sort of thing was for the general good and not for the benefit of the town. So we amended the charter now. It was that, but anyway, is it legal? Yes. Should you do it? That's up to y'all.
And obviously my take is no. I think if there was a you know, if the town sponsored that and shared in part of that, I think you could probably get away with that. I think that's cleaner. But I definitely am not for giving the citizens of Brooklet the tax money, in terms of their tax money, to somebody where there's no disclosure. Absolutely no disclosure, nobody knows where it goes. We know how I feel.
Well, your concerns, as far as them signing a waiver, I mean, that should be an issue for them to sign a waiver, should it, to use the facilities? That they,
In terms of to use the facilities, no, sir. In terms of, now, they should be required, and I don't know whether they were or not, but they should be required if they're the ones who are receiving the proceeds out of that. Because if we have an event in the city, you are supposed to, in terms of, to have that event listed on your insurance. So they should have to take and I would assume, and I know what assumptions do, but I assume they have to provide their own $1 million liability.
Yes.
as far as that event is, to me, that's the biggest thing Brooklet has, to get notoriety for the town.
Sure.
You look at all these small towns around us, they have different festivals once a year, and that's what Brooklet, how many people have moved here because they know more about Brooklet because it's on the news, they learn more about it.
And I don't think I disagree with you in that respect. I think what the issue is, if we take and, for example, made that fee exempt, or voted on it, waived the fee, but this is where we're giving your tax dollars, my tax dollars, and everybody else in Brooklet's tax dollars to a organization that doesn't have to comply with, in terms of the transparency that we do. And we originally took that money in taxes, and property taxes is what we took that money from. And I believe that money should remain transparent.
So your issue is not that they're using the facility at
At a
a
discounted
zeroed out
rate,
rate.
even
is
that we have to pay the overtime.
What are we
to
giving $1,500 for? That's
But
what
you're
your
giving
question
taxpayer
is.
dollars to really a private entity for the event. That's what I have an issue with, it is tax dollars.
Well, I have no issue with my tax dollars going towards it because I think it serves a good purpose for the town. And I think a lot of people elsewise, they would all think the same thing.
Sure.
Well, there are a lot of businesses that benefit when all of those
Absolutely.
folks come here, you know, and there is that draw.
Would make things a little bit easier to swallow if ECDA came to council with a specific request for something that costs about $1,500. Like, I don't know what the WTOC charges them come out and put the Peanut Festival on television live. Okay, but if they came to council with a request for something that they do anyway, that costs $1,500 or whatever, and gave you a proposal for how it benefits the city, and then the city can, at least you have something that says what you got for.
If there's a clean way to do it,
I totally understand where
my
you're
thing is
coming
this,
from.
I've been in government service for many, many years. I've had, in terms of be responsible for the taxpayers' dollars, I believe in being very transparent. I believe in terms of being a good steward of money. If we're audited, now obviously it's in the charter, it's in the charter, it's been legalized, but it don't feel right and it's not right. It is not considered, oh good Lord.
Well, you get some allocated money,
Yes.
basically for something that should be a non-appropriated.
Correct. So if we cost shared something that was legitimate, I can live with cost sharing something that was legitimate that brought tourism to Brooklyn. I'm okay with that. I'm not okay just giving $1,500 to somebody. You do with it what you so with it.
What if we did the $1,500 to go toward broadcast costs because of the tourism thing?
I can probably live with it.
Placed on TV. I mean, that makes sense to me.
That promotes Brooklyn.
And that way, if you do get audited, you can show a clear thing that you actually put the money on.
Yes. And so that I can, in terms of somebody asks me, I know that that's what we spent our $1,500 on.
Well, I go one step further before I even want to agree to that. I would like to see what their expenditures and what their intake is, and see what exactly why they even need the $1,500.
Just go to meetings.
Well, the other thing, and I don't mean this ugly, but The truth is whenever you have members who are on council who are involved, it's really a conflict of interest, is another problem.
They spend a lot of money.
Well, they might spend a lot of money, but it might not have to do anything with the peanut festival.
Oh, yes, it does. Anything they spend.
Has to do with the peanut festival.
Yeah,
Peanut
you know,
festival
throwing
and
peanut
tree
festival
lighting.
into the downtown area, or the street lights, or whatever it is. The money they get.
And where is this?
It's at the community center, the last Monday of the month. Now, I don't know, I haven't found out yet where this one's gonna be.
But then-
Last Monday's Memorial.
Mr. Jim, one of the things I wanna say is that at the community center, we don't charge them for that, but we charge other people to use the community center. It goes back to the equity, and in terms of, I'm telling you, council will be sued at some point in time for that. You will be. But the other part of that is the fact whenever members of council are in that group and you're voting tonight to spend the taxpayers' money on your organization that you support, that's a conflict of interest.
So if you decide to spend the $1,500, you need to say.
You need to identify what we're
I
going.
mean, in your motion, you need to say, we're gonna give them $1,500 towards WTFC's broadcast of the, or whatever, so you know what it went to.
I would do better that way.
Yeah.
I would go.
And then they
I would
can
go
use,
step
however
further
they
and
swap
have
their money
them-
around.
Part of it is
whatever.
being council.
Yeah, but your
I'll go
money,
step
that
farther.
$1,500
That's
goes
exactly
there.
correct.
Yeah.
And Nikki, you've been in government service. You
Oh
know
my
this.
God, yes, planning and zoning was a nightmare, yes. Trying to explain it, when you let this person do it, you gotta let everybody do it, they don't get it.
And that's why I want to reiterate, even though we need to develop a facilities use agreement that we stick to and live by so that we can be equitable to all. Yes, sir.
I'm not the brightest bulb on the tree, but basically what I'm hearing then is that these people put on the peanut festival, then they take the money that they raise and they do things for the city like put in benches and stuff like that. So basically what we're doing is we're giving them $1,500 of my tax dollars to do whatever they decide is right for the city. And I don't think that's right. I think the city council should decide where that $1,500 goes. But basically that's what you're telling me. So I'm just giving my money to them without any oversight, and they get to do whatever they want with it.
Well, now you tell them it's gonna go for the.
They don't have to honor that though.
Well, even if you tell them it goes to that, that's just allowing them to, use up other money that they would have. That's semantics there. But yeah, I don't like the idea of someone else spending my tax dollars how they think it should be spent without my input or the city council's. And that's basically what we're doing.
Will at least allow a healthy debate, a presentation of quotes. I mean, that's.
Take it to another time.
Even if it is a good thing that they do, I don't think it's the way it should be done. If it is, I'd like about $5,000 to do stuff myself with the city.
There you go.
And I will do something with the city.
I'm okay as long as it's specific to something like broadcast.
I think you want to
Put it on trees.
Well, we're making a break, I'm serious, because I was gonna have my landscaper right now cleaned up.
Not
That's
far
just
from
horrible.
Laura and I were talking about it, maybe
We talked
y'all,
about that today,
this
use
would
of
be
my
worth
house.
it, but you need to know what kind of thing you want. In fact, you asked me to tell one that she and I were talking about, we couldn't figure out. exactly what- Yeah.
That's
well,
all I know
we
is
got-
the.
I'll be happy to provide comment here. I know that comes as a shock.
Well, we need some talking here, because I'm here, so, yeah, we can develop.
Sounds good.
Gotta have one more.
That's why you have so basically, we have $1,500 tax dollars spent by an entity that's unregulated to do for the town what they want. I think that money should be spent on the city council. I have a motion on the table.
Make a motion that we table, incorporate.
Do I have a second? All in favor? All right, next is going to be, discussion and possible motion for the new software for the city text messaging system. That was you, Jim, right?
Right. It's no cost to the city.
How are the individuals billed for that?
That's what we'd have to figure out. We'd also have to figure out how to get with you and find out how you want to be contacted. that's the challenge.
Yeah.
Smoke signal program. Is get out either a letter or something to every home.
That would be a good topic to go on.
Lori, how did you do that the very first time when you got us to give you our text, that we wanted you to text us? How did we do that the first time? I forgot.
The only thing that worried me about that is how
One
you,
bills, and then we printed out papers and handed them all the customers. Like when you come in, people coming in and all
Yeah.
that.
I mean, how do you make sure everybody buys it or pays for the service, or you don't worry about it?
Well, you don't have to sign up for the text message now, so it's not like you have to. The question I would have then is, after the first year, all of a sudden, I don't wanna pay my $2 next year. Who's gonna take care of coordinating that I don't get a text message now? Is that done by software? Does that have to be done by Lori, or?
Just be removed from.
That does seem
Okay,
excessive,
and
when
then
half the
do it
people in
that
this town probably don't know how to
Yeah,
text message.
yeah, all they have to do is tell the program, remove this
But,
address,
you
this
know, I mean, they're
address,
flip,
this
but
address.
But who would do that? Lori wouldn't know if I paid the money unless I paid it to her.
I guess the thing is, they just do that.
But they'll remove you from the program?
Everything the city,
Oh, the city, okay, I see what you're saying now. We bill going.
Yeah.
So you just add to my little yellow paper.
Yeah,
slip,
that's
like
what
some
I-
water bill.
Yeah.
Okay, we would actually pay the city.
Yeah, so the city would,
So it'll be on the water bill.
right.
Okay, now it makes sense. That's the part that had me.
Yeah, I thought I was gonna send $1.
And this system gives you the ability
ABC
to
Electric.
differentiate between, this person wants a
Yeah.
text message, this person wants a phone call, this person wants a letter, this person wants you to come knock on my door. I mean, this
No, it's
system
just
gives
three.
you I was just
There's three choices.
being sarcastic, but,
So phone, text, and emails, your own.
it gives you the ability to differentiate between each person.
Could we look
Each
at
address
I'd like
will
to
have, goes by address.
Oh, we can.
Each address is noted, be contacted by this email address, this phone number, and so on. The thing we gotta get you to do is to fill out that form that tells us how you want to be contacted.
I would probably suggest we look at, because our website truly needs attention, truly needs attention. What I was gonna suggest is I know they have websites that you can link your Twitter, you can link Facebook, you can also link text. And I dare say that I don't know that it's significantly more than what we're paying, and I think that may be a better use of our money. Because I think you get more, if we want to talk about promotion, obviously you get more promoting with the website and Twitter and.
This
all
is
of it.
done with the website, it's free, website's free.
So is the website too?
Yeah,
Okay.
got the software and the whole works.
I'd like to see some more information about that before
It is,
I make a decision on it, because I'm really confused.
Before I start paying another $1.
I mean, I'm not saying it's bad or good, I'm just saying.
Every time I turn around, that water bill's higher. No, I just mean like, there's something added to it and added to it and added to it. I don't use that. It's just two of us, we don't have that water usage, I'm just saying every time.
I make a motion to table that and get studied.
Yeah, thanks.
Second on that.
I'll second.
All in favor? Discussion to, schedule, two budget sessions for public, one in early June and then another one right before, June city.
We're working to
Oh, excuse me, sir, did you miss the one above it?
I'm so happy to get down there to the end.
Mayor?
All right, how about a discussion of possible motion to approve, the tentative budget for,
All right, guys,
2022?
got about 3 handouts. Guys, what you have in the orange is, the first column is the FY22 budget. If you could look, the second column is the FY21 budget, that's what we approved it as an approved budget. This number we're gonna talk about budget amendment. But you can look, our revenue estimates initially for 2022 was under 810,000. We ended up increasing a couple of areas that we thought through some additional enhancement would generate a few more dollars. Bottom line, it's a right at a 2% increase over the FY '21 budget. You can see the water fund, $334,000 is the estimated funds that will come in for FY '22, which was over $282,000 for FY '21. In short, the budget as a whole is about 7% projected increase over FY '21. You can see in terms of at the bottom of that is the projected expenditures. We had an increase of about 4% in both water and sanitation, and that's primarily due to the new subdivision in terms of whenever you factor those houses in. And I estimated roughly 50 more homes in that subdivision throughout the next fiscal year. But that is comparing FY '21 to FY '22. In just a second, I'm going to give you, in terms of the actual budget that we will present, because we got to have 2 hearings in terms of with the public. But what I want to show you that I think will be a little more meaningful is actually, what you've got now is you've got 2 columns. You've got FY '21 estimates. What that means is what we did is we took the balance at the end of April, multiplied in terms of the average monthly expenditures for May and June, so that we got rough estimates for to end FY '21, and then we compared that to the FY '21 original budget. And as you can see, the city will have estimated the brought in $252,354 over what our original budget estimates were, which was $1,190,150. So roughly, this year it brought in about almost 5% more than what we anticipated. We did not meet our property tax estimates this past year, and so we left those, whenever you look in the general fund, we left those the same. The budget that we were presenting for approval, for tentative approval tonight, which is on the green, that means it's positive. The positive last year, the city overspent its budget and spent into its reserves. This year, it looks like that it will take, and the city will be able to stay within the money that it collected in the general fund, the water fund, the sanitation fund, and won't overspend what it brought in. It overspent the budget, but it didn't overspend what it brought in. So that is positive. But what you see, the budget that we are tentatively approving tonight, we'll have 2 hearings that we're going to establish. Those 2 hearing dates will be for a total of $1,279,320. Did anybody have any questions? Let me reiterate, probably the most positive thing was this is the first year in about 4 years that the city has not spent more than it brought in. So all that preaching,
That heartburn you have.
that heartburn, headaches.
And we generated some more revenue too.
Yes, this is true. So, like I said, my husband, that does not mean that's illegal. Between now and June 30th. That means we'll stay within the budget if we can. So.
Brandon, I just want to thank you so very much for the job that you do, because I know that big check that you get at the end of the month really well.
Covers all this.
$138 a month. Yes.
Because I can say that Brandon works tirelessly, and then we have them phone calls when he pops up and says, we got to do something, and you know that something's supposed to change, but you keep, that's what it takes. Stay within the means.
We need to make a motion to approve the tentative budget.
We do need to approve the tentative budget.
Got a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, that looks better.
So if we're in the green, we get
Right now, we're in the green, so so I can remember.
Really has on a
I
ridge.
think we were in the orange.
Now, whenever we get to pass the final budget next month, if it's on finger red, y'all know we've done bad.
Well, one good thing is we have a certain amount of homes that's gonna be paying taxes this coming that
They
normally
build
wouldn't
them
be
as
there.
fast as they can too,
Yep.
regardless of the cost of lumber.
This is a hotbed for, everybody wants to be here. It's good to have a town.
I know, I like to sell houses here.
And it is, makes me proud to know that, Brooklet can actually attract that. That's a nice thing.
It's because of the peanut festival, so you.
Well, I tell you what, if that's the case, I challenge all of them.
We'll pass the hat around.
Personally pay up, if you personally pay up, I'm good with it.
I'm gonna be trying to get some in Ken's IJ and get hit in the head with a can of baked beans. I can see it coming. But, hey, I'm with you, Brad. I'm just about being honest and straightforward and clear about what's going on. This is y'all's money. I mean, I'm a taxpayer too, it's the town's money. And I mean this, that there's a lot of tireless work that goes on. I think we've made some really good changes and we hit it in the right direction. We just get the little small things.
Seems like it because we're passing out green papers, not pink and red ones.
So, I appreciate y'all being patient with us. All right, since I jumped ahead a little bit, now we're gonna go to this discussion and schedule to the, two budget, public hearing on that, do you want to make a motion on that?
I was gonna say, we really need to establish the days. Mr. Hunter, do you remember, I mean, I know that you, I know my.
Budget hearing?
And
No,
budget.
I don't know that.
I think I'm almost certain municipalities is only two. I know school districts, we gotta do three.
I think it's two.
I think it's two, because what I would like to do is actually do one hearing right before the regular council meeting in June. So instead of at 7, do it at 6. And then, ideally we can do a morning, if we do a Friday morning, I'm off on Fridays, I mean, I don't mind doing it. Or I'll be glad to let somebody else do it.
You're not gonna trick me into that one. I would take off from work if I got to.
I was gonna say, could we look at maybe, to accommodate, we'll do the evening crowd at 6 and accommodate the morning crowd maybe on June the 11th?
5:30 in the morning.
Hey, I'll get it done. June the 11th, Friday, June the 11th at 8 a.m.
And then again, before the council.
And then again before council meeting.
8 a.m.?
I'm not sure that,
Officer can send that for sure.
I'm sorry, I think it's the law is that it has to be a full week.
A full week apart, or
For I'm just, cause I know Claxon ran into some issues with that.
I think we've been there before.
all right, let's back up, let's do the 4th. No, the 4th, I'm sorry, I can't. All right. God dang it. Can we do a Saturday morning? Do y'all know, is there, I don't know, is there a rule on Saturday that you can't do them?
Your auditor can answer all those.
All right, let's tentatively set it.
What about the 28th? 28th?
22nd.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like that I have to be here for it.
I'll tell you what, let's do the 28th. Let's do May 28th. I can do that. I got my car service appointment, but I can take it the night before. All right, May 28th, 8 a.m. And then we'll also do it. What day is council on? Is that
17th.
17th? Okay. The 17th at 6.
June 17th?
And then June 17th at 6.
Thank you for catching that.
Sorry, I didn't mean
No, I
to.
appreciate it. Okay.
At 6.
At 6.
All right, so we got May, say it one more time.
We got May 28th at 8 a.m.
Mhm.
at City Hall. And then we got June 17th at 6 p.m. City Hall.
That'll work.
So,
For the man in the blue shirt.
let's put it in the calendar so I show up.
Don't worry, we'll find you, Brad.
Willie's got it.
So Brad, you gonna serve coffee at the 8 a.m. meeting?
And donuts.
if somebody brings it, I mean.
Is there any kind of time restraint as far as how far out the public has to know before the meeting? Because that's only 8 days away.
I think we do have to get it in the paper. And I think if Lori contacts the paper first thing in the morning, and can get it in there, I think.
It'll be,
I know
it'll
we
be
put it on
Saturday's
the website,
paper.
But
Yeah.
if not, we will have an extra here. We'll make it work.
At Brad's house.
And we'll serve coffee.
And how can we serve them? How many times we gonna be serving hamburgers?
There you go.
We'll make it work, but I will look,
I just thought, I know sometimes there's a requirement.
I have a little chart that I use at work, I should have brought it.
And sometime in June, we also got to have a meeting about, meeting on this. So we'll go back and we'll find out.
You wanna talk about that now, while we got the calendar on the brain? The bike path. I would rather go ahead and put something up.
Evening, morning, morning and evening?
No,
No?
I'd say evening,
Okay.
like 5:30.
Okay.
That's when you gotta go home and go to bed.
Yeah.
5:30 in the evening's kind of early, so some people gotta go home and feed their cats.
That they don't own.
That they don't own.
Well, that's not when I get home, but they've been at your house.
Before we do that, could we take, because I think it's helpful to get people's feedback and commentary, could we set up so that instead of it just being a random, in terms of where people, in terms of just randomly share out, could we have smaller breakout groups here with the information so that somebody could chart the commentary? Obviously, the educator in me's coming out, but chart in terms of people's feedback, either pros or cons. That's a heck of a lot easier to compile and a heck of a lot easier in order to make those decisions that you need to make.
Fred,
Yes, sir.
you may have that information from the last meeting they had at the school,
Supposed to.
because they had information packets out,
Okay.
how you felt about it.
So
Okay.
didn't I didn't go to that last one.
We had comments.
There was
sheets, people
probably
got
150,
people
200
going
people there.
out. Might be able to get those some folks.
You want me to go, did they take them home or did they turn them in?
No, you turn in.
You turn them in.
You want me to call the county and get it? I will.
You could also send emails in.
Yeah,
Maybe 10 days out.
Yeah, they could come.
That'd be a good base to work on before you started your meeting.
Sure. Unfortunately, I had to work.
I would say if we're gonna do this, maybe we should do it at the community center,
It's probably gonna take around what we can put in here, yes.
and set the maps up inside, and if we have to be outside, we can do that too.
Take the chairs up, make a standing room only.
You just want to take them home.
As long as everybody fit in there, that's fine.
All right, so when, let's talk.
I'd say the 10th,
The 10th of
June.
June.
It's on a Thursday.
Dang, I'm not.
I am.
You are, you're the spokesperson. for
I
Happy
am,
Sound?
yes. I'm supposed to be on my family vacation. But I
I'm
will.
good with June 10th.
Or
No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
What about June 3rd?
I can,
I'm true, guys.
but I don't make comments.
No, I'll be out of town.
Sean Knight will be here though.
Well,
so
I knew
We should set up two.
Turned out, I figured it would be tough
Yeah.
to try.
Need two meetings,
Yeah.
really and truly.
Look, I love it.
June 3rd.
2 weeks from now.
Sure, I mean, I'm out of town, but that don't necessarily mean, I really don't have to be here, but I mean, I would like to, but
Yeah.
don't let my date.
Think y'all gonna do the 10th or the 3rd?
The 10th would probably be better since it's more time for everybody.
All right, so we're going to June 10th. I mean, that's gonna be sure.
I might be here, you never know.
But what I'd like to see, if we're gonna do something, let's vote on it at the next council meeting to be done, instead of dragging this on and on and on.
Got to.
It's not fair to the county.
Yeah, I can do either extend or pay.
That's the password, right? That's your password. Is that it? That's
No, I got it in the car, I will get it for
Oh,
you.
no, well, I was gonna say, I can probably make copies so that we got enough that people.
Yeah, I got it in the car,
Page 6 would be a better time for me.
Nikki's
What
catering.
date?
Nikki's catering.
All right, June 10th, 6 o'clock.
You're catering.
Hey, I know some Mexicans, we can do it.
Here we go again.
What's your chef?
Oh, God. Don't say
We'll make sure that we,
Next item on the agenda.
we'll have to get it publicized, so let your neighbors
Tell
know.
everybody,
And
tell everybody.
word of mouth normally travels a lot better than,
Or you can shoot that out in the text if you already want to.
Did you say at the community center?
that way if we have a large crowd, we can put everything
Because
up.
it was packed in here the other night. It was hard to move around. It was a lot.
If Mrs. Eagle gets a list of something she's gonna be here, she had a list of a lot of residents, would y'all recognize that as a,
Yes.
okay. And there'd have to be some kind of legal document or something with people's names on it or not?
Well, I mean, if somebody's gonna speak for a group, I'd like to have it so I know who they are.
Can we also put it on the next water bill? I mean, I know some folks don't read them. That's okay.
I think any type of, any and all ways that you
The
can
word
inform.
is limited how many characters, you only have 2 lines, so, we can
Well, you put a big old letter up there at Mexican restaurant, apparently this whole town goes there
That's right.
every night, I mean,
That's the
so,
best place to put it.
I think so.
I'll give you another place too. Ken's bulletin board. Everybody brother reads that bulletin board.
Where?
Ken's bulletin board.
Oh, yeah, that's a
We'll
good
publicize
idea.
it, so we got our date.
And if you give it to me, I'll see if Jason puts it up.
I don't know.
I put on my number $1,000.
Please, in the work session.
Yeah, we just take the whole month of June, we just turn it into one big meeting. We're gonna have to, we got a lot to,
The work session?
we'll talk about that here. Yeah, 10.7 is discussion and a possible motion to approve the purchase of 25 water meters and 25, meter readers, from Consolidated Pipe, Company for $4,200.
Remember, maybe red.
This was meters we had to order because we were out, but we ordered a 75, we only got 25 of them so far.
Use your 5%.
So the rest of them
Brad.
back ordered. So we had to give away free water for a little while. So we.
No, we got to get that red paper in here, we put out free water.
Anyway, I'll make a motion to approve the 42 consolidated.
All in favor?
Brad, you gonna put us?
All right, consideration of the motion to enter into the executive session. What, oh, yep, I'm sorry, Ken, Mr. Nikki has got a,
Proposal for a tapping machine. For a tapping machine, tap into a main water line so we don't have to shut down the water system
quit using, Howard.
and quit using Mr. Tucker quite so frequently. This is a special rig that goes on there.
Quit upsetting half the town every time we have a
Special rig, you wrap around the pipe, put the valve on it, you drill through the valve into the pipe, valve already in place, pull the drill out, turn the valve off, done.
Your water don't have to be turned off to tap the water line.
What, no
And
muddy
since
water?
we don't have valves, it
No, but what's your
comes out
favorite?
to turn in your water line.
Only when they check out a fire hydrant, will you
The
have.
problem in the town is we
You got
got
grease in it too.
water lines, we got concrete asbestos, we got PVC, and we got duct wiring in some places. So it takes 3 different kinds of bits,
Yes,
and all 3
at
of
the
them
other end.
kinds of pipes. So, this gives me the thing is $1,950, and it'll go from a 3/4 tap to a 2-inch tap.
And that takes care of the sizes that we need for.
Yeah, cause
different
most
pipe.
everything we gonna tap's a 3/4 or a 1. And in the rare case, like down on Railroad Street where we got that 2-inch tap, it's probably gonna have to be retapped. We have the ability to do that too. It's just something the town's never had.
We have the skill to work it.
Yeah,
This person.
it's very simple rig, it's just,
It's outside my skill set.
you know, like anything, you gotta have the right tool to do the right job.
Well, I can say this,
They got
you get Howard,
priority.
a contractor to come in, and by the time that he gets finished, then there's $1,950.
It's real cheap.
It's very cheap.
It's real cheap.
So
And
I,
plus, when we cut everybody's water off, and then,
you know, one time we wouldn't have to shut down stuff to tap this way. I make a motion we purchase this piece of equipment for $1,900.
about a second. All in favor? Okay.
And we are in a lot better shape with our equipment, water system wise, I guarantee you.
I'm gonna hold this beach alert thing until our next session.
Yeah, but would, that's what
Bill's
I'm
not
about.
due till
Give us some
7:30.
time to.
We're Run City, we're Run City, we gotta, you know, we
It's
gotta,
gonna be a
gotta
big
go.
report, and
This 1830 is not due till 7:31.
Hey Brad, don't you need a ream of red paper?
Yes.
You're talking to
The paper's coming. I'm gonna hold that bill.
I make a motion.
It's coming, 2:30.
Brad, I want a box.
All right, how about a, consideration of a motion to enter into executive session?
Make a motion to enter into executive
We
session.
gotta come out of
Personnel
the,
matter.
out of regular.
I have a motion to leave the regular session and go into executive.
Your Honor,
So moved.
can I say something first beforehand? I come to a lot of the city council meetings. I'm James Holloway. I've lived here about a year and a half. This is the most people I've ever seen in Willoughby City Council.
Amen. I'm on your side.
And people who say, you know, that don't know what's going on, if you come here and listen, you'll hear everybody into it. I don't know a lot about the city before I got here, but I do applaud all these folks up here for the fact that we stayed within budget. And I've heard session after session of maintenance that hasn't been done for years that these guys and ladies are taking care of. And I don't think they get credit enough for the hard work they're doing for that, so I applaud you all for that.
That's what we were elected to do. I consider myself, I'm a servant to this town and the people that live in it,
But
but I appreciate
you
it.
stayed within budget, and I know, I've heard every month of all the different things, maintenance that hasn't been done for years and years, that's getting taken care of. I think that's impressive.
We come a long way in a short time.
Got better things to come, too.
Okay, you got a motion, second on the floor?
To
Come on,
move out of
regular.
regular session, do it now, do I have a, motion to go into executive session?
So moved.